Okay, hi everyone. This is Pankaj Badoni. I am assistant professor at School of Computer Science and Engineering UPS. And today I'll be giving you a brief introduction about what different courses which we are offering at UPS. So if you can, as you can see, the title for today's talk would be B Tech CSE in collaboration with IBM and Xebia. So we have two industry partners with us, IBM and Xebia, um, which will be who help us in framing the syllabus and who help us in different processes. So I'll start with. So if you look at this particular slide, it primarily talks about what are the different branches which are being offered at UPS, and they are being clubbed under different verticals. So if any one of you will be joining UPS, you will be either given any particular one of these slots. So as you can see, we have Department of Informatics, Department of Virtualization, Department of Systematics, Analytics, Cyber Platform, and Cybernetics, right? And in 2018, that is this year, we'll be launching artificial intelligence and machine learning with the collaboration with IBM. Right. So I'll come to this particular slide in the due course of time when I'll be talking about what different courses to offer. But let me tell you how one becomes an engineer. How one becomes an engineer at UPS. What are the different things? How it is different from one traditional engineering college, right? So what we have is let me give you an example, right? Let's say you're being taught 48 subjects in any traditional engineering college, right? So out of those 48 subjects, more or less, those 48 subjects would also be taught over here in UPS. But out of those 48 subjects, 40 subjects, or let's say 35 subjects would be of the core computer science, and around 10 to 15 subjects would be of the domain specific, right? As you can see in the slide, it's a domain specific is over there. So 10 to 15 subject would be of domain specific slides, and then there would be we'd be having certain basic engineering subjects which will be clubbed together, and you'll be having hands-on experiences, you'll be having trainings, you'll be having lab exercises, and combining all these three together becomes an engineer. That's how that's what that's the difference between any traditional college and at UPS, right? So and I was saying, what are the traditional subjects which are being taught? The traditional subjects are these subjects, right? You'll be taught, physics, chemistry, maths. You'll be taught HTML, DBMS, architecture. You'll be taught operating systems. You'll be taught, let's say, embedded system, computer graphics, web programming, PHP. All those subjects will be taught to you. It's not as if you'll be. It's not as if something will be missing from your curriculum, right? You'll be taught all those subjects which any computer science graduate is being taught anywhere, right? But over here, apart from these subjects, you will be taught certain different subjects as well. Those will be the core specific subjects, right? Now now coming back to this particular slide, as you can see, we have these six schools over here, six different verticals over here. So Department of Informatics is having oil and gas informatics and artificial intelligence. Virtualization is cloud computing and graphics and gaming. Systematics is your IT infrastructure and management, mobile application development, mainframe technology. Analytics department primarily talks about business analytics and optimization and e-commerce. Cyber platform talks about your cyber security and forensics, open source and open standard, IoT and smart cities, and integrated cyber law. This integrated cyber law is a 6-year program, right? And then we have very new program over here, cybernetics, which is your Devops and big data, right? So coming on to the Department of Informatics, oil and gas informatics. So what I'll be doing is, I'll be going through, what different things are being covered in different verticals. Um, what edge you'll be provided once you join these courses, and and a precursor to this particular thing, let me tell you something about, I guess, since you guys are just studying in 11th and 12th, you might not be having this particular idea, but this whole this whole these whole branches can be categorized into two major categories. That is one is technology and the other one is domain, right? For instance, the cloud computing, it's a technology. For instance, open source and open standard, it's a technology. But when I say oil and gas informatics, it's a domain. When I say banking finance, it's a domain, right? So this is how these two things can be categorized. And let's say if you have any queries at the end of the webinar, I'll be happy to take those queries. Now I'll be taking you through the different specializations which we have, and what is covered in those specialization. uh, let's say where you'll be fitted, let's say after the 4 year of graduation, what are the potential recruiters where you'll be absorbed, right? So I'll be covering all those things in the due course of time. So CSE oil and gas informatics, in these, a general misconception, students have is, let's say if you have opted for oil and gas informatics, so, you have to go to the, oil wells and you have to drill the oil out of it. It's not a physical job, first of all. You'll be taught the processes of upstream and downstream, how the oil is, how the oil is being extracted from those things, so that you can write an effective software for those people, right? So you need to have a good hold of, GIS, geographical information system. You need to have a good hold on the telemetry, SCADA, storage technology, photogrammetry. These are all the softwares which are being created by students and people who have a good amount of domain knowledge about the oil and gas industry. And then, since you have the complete knowledge of oil and gas industry, you have the knowledge of, let's say, in computer science, you will be a potential candidate for any company to write a software for these people. When you look at the key benefits of it, right? So since UPS is known for, petroleum courses, and if you tend to study oil and gas informatics from this college, so you're bound to get a good job, good opportunity over here. And there are, since IBM helps us to design the course and curriculum. So as I was discussing just now, that out of 50, out of 30, out of 48 subjects, now around 40 subjects are core subjects and 8 subjects are domain subjects. So those 8 domain subjects syllabus is being designed by the IBM fellows. They come to the campus, they design the syllabus, they train the faculties first, then the faculty has to deliver. So that's the key feature of this particular part. That's the benefit which you're going to get, right? Now the software. When I talk about career prospects, where you'll be absorbed, right? So you can be you can be absorbed in any IT company who is working for any oil and gas people. You please do understand. You won't be going into the oil rigs, or or to drill the oil out of those. No, you will be working as a software consultant for those people, right? So you can be working as a software developer, consultant, business analyst, data scientist, marketing consultant. Business analyst is one of the position where you'll be given an ample amount of opportunities, because the oil and gas domain, right? So that's one of the good thing about this thing. Now talking about the companies, there's a list of companies. There is a UPS is known for its placement, right? So there's no dearth of companies who are visiting the campus. So Tieto, IBM, Accenture, KPMG, Infosys, Wipro. So these are the n number of companies who have been coming to the campus for the recruitment for this particular course. Now, artificial intelligence and machine learning, right? I guess it's a buzzword which everyone seems to be following, right? Everyone wants to have the automated things get automated. So we'll be launching this particular course in 2018, that is this year, in collaboration with the IBM. See, we'll be primarily talking about all the things. We'll be talking about deep learning, we'll be talking about natural language processing, expert system, we'll be talking about image processing, we'll be talking about robotics. So all these things will be discussed over here. Again, since it's in collaboration with the IBM, so the course and curriculum will be designed by the IBM people. You'll be given an ample amount of opportunities, where the IBM folks would be visiting the campus. There'll be one-on-one discussion. You can have the students will be having a one-on-one discussion with those people. If I have to talk about the career prospects in this particular line, so industry is full of this particular industry is quite demanding as of now. They want AI developers, they want machine learning engineers, they want data analysts who can, do that particular part, they want data scientists, and because since everyone wants automation, so this particular field is going to be applied to anything. Like for instance, if I have to talk about your Google car, right? So that if you have to talk about the Teslas, this automatic vehicle, so all these things are employing what? They are employing your computer vision and image processing, right? So they need people who understand that particular thing. So all those things would be taught to you from the, from the first year onwards, so that you have that ample amount of knowledge, so that once you go to the industry you can deliver on those fronts, right? So that's your artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now coming on to the different second this thing, what do you say? Um, Sorry to interrupt over here. I can see the questions coming up over here. So what I'll say is, I'll take the questions at the very end of the this thing. What do you say? Webinar. Let me first complete the presentation first, right? Thank you. So coming on to the Department of Virtualization. So under the Department of Virtualization, we have two major categories. That is your cloud computing, and second one is the graphics and gaming. As everyone know, right? Cloud computing is not a very old field. It came into the 2008 only, and UPS was the first college in North India, or I'll say in the India, which started giving the B Tech CSE program in cloud computing and virtualization. So in cloud computing and virtualization, everything, I guess SaaS, PaaS, and LaaS, everyone knows about this particular part. So you will be taught, about the cloud deployment, public cloud, private cloud. You'll be taught about the virtualization techniques. You'll be taught about the OpenStack, and you'll be taught about cloud performance tuning. So let's say once you'll go to the industry, you'll know all those technologies, and you'll know the hands-on part of as well. So you'll be the potential candidate to get recruited anywhere. And since the market is quite ripe for these technologies, so you can see yourself, placed very good somewhere, given a choice here that you give an ample amount of programming to it. So the key features of this particular one is, you'll be open source platforms, OpenStack, virtualization, clouds, policies, web technologies, AWS, Amazon Web Services. It will be taught to you. All those things would be covered to you, right? Career prospects, you would be a cloud developer, you could be a software engineer, Java programmer, you can be an architect in any company, you can be a WebSphere cloud computing engineer, you can be a network engineer. So these are the certain potential areas where you can see your career going down the line 4 years. And this is the list of the companies. Amazon hires this to the new digital, your Intera IT, your MDocs, your VMware. So all these companies, they have been coming to the campus for recruitment, and students are getting placed in these things, and they're doing good over there. So that was your cloud computing. Now coming on to the graphics and gaming. Graphics and gaming is one area which is growing 7% annually, right? And the market potential is quite huge in this particular area. Let me give you a very basic example of, I've been citing this particular example for a year now. You just look at the, how the Bahubali was created, right? It was hardly a 100 crore and 200 crore movie, right? But let's say the revenue which it has generated, it is 10 folds or 15 folds the revenue it is generated. And if you look at it, what is it? It's the purely VFX, right? Which it covers, right? So that's the potential of the graphics which we have in the future. Now over here, what you'll be taught is in the UPS in UPS in graphics and gaming vertical, you'll be taught the game development, as well as the as the programming part of it. You'll be taught how you can develop your virtual reality based apps, your augmented reality based apps, how you can do a 2D, how you can develop a 2D game, how you can develop a 3D game, how you can develop an Android game per se. And let's say you wanted to go into the designing part of it. So over here you'll be taught UI UX of this particular part. UI would be taught to you, how to design an effective UI, and all those things would be taught over here, right? So you can see, key features like, Blender would be taught to you, Maya, Unity 3D, OpenGL would be taught to you, and career prospects, UI, UX is over there, 2D, 3D, game tester, application programming, and graphic designer is over there. Here's a list of certain companies. Since, the students of graphics and gaming vertical, they are in third year only. So none of the batches have graduated as of yet. But since you can just check our graphics and gaming page, right? UPS graphics and gaming page, you can check, and you can see, what sort of work students are doing. So you'll see over there, and this is currently students are in third year only. So next year they'll be going for the placement, and I'm quite sure they'll be doing a very good job, as as they have created a very good software as of now, and the games as well. Now coming on to the Department of System X. Now the Department of System X covers basically IT infrastructure, mobile application development, and mainframe technology. In the IT infrastructure is the backbone of this thing, what you say, the whole IT industry, right? So let's say if you join any XYZ company, right? So the machines which you use, the data where the data is stored, that is your data centers, everything is being maintained by these IT infrastructure people, so that we can use the technology as per our convenience, right? So over here, different ITL processes would be taught to you, different processes would be taught to you, so that the application is up and running, right? So the students will be taught all the IT infrastructure related management services and models, different managerial operations would be taught to them, so that they know once they go to the industry, so how to monitor all those resources over there. So as a career prospects, if I have to say, students can be either a server specialist or it can be a storage specialist, because these are the backbones, right? If you understand, let's say you create an app, and that particular app is being stored somewhere, right? That app is stored somewhere where it's stored in your data center only, it's your right. So someone has to monitor that particular part, so there's this team of IT infrastructure people doing that particular part. Remote infrastructure management consultant, IT. So these are the certain career prospects which they carry. And again, talking about the companies, there's no dearth of the company. So IBM is heavily looking for the people who have who have the knowledge of this IT infrastructure. Then you have, let's say, Dell is extensively working. Any company who is into the hardware as well as the software, it's working. They want people who have a good idea about the IT infrastructure, right? Now, mobile computing. This mobile computing is a very new field in UPS. We have got only 2 batches of mobile computing as of now, and as the name suggests, right, it would be covering everything related, concerned with the mobile. Be it Android development, be it your mobile analytics, be it wireless sensor network, be it how the data would be transformed from your mobile devices to your centralized device, or let's say how the data would be retrieved. Every single thing is being discussed over here, right? So the program, this thing is you just look at the careers prospect, right? Every single person is now using the applications through their mobiles, right? So they want all those things to be ported to the mobile. So the moment I say all the things has to come to the mobile, so the security is one of the major concern, right? Which has to be taken care of. So again, hardware part of it, a software part of it, let's say different we have, what do you say, mobile development environments. We have Android, iOS, we have Windows, so everything would be discussed over here. Then we have different communication standards for with us, so all those standards would be discussed, so that we can write an effective code for the same. So as we have to talk about the career prospects, so app developer is one of those, Android programmer is one of those, IoT consultant, and I'll be talking about IoT down the line. IoT and this thing mobile, it's going hand on hand, right? And it has got huge potential, and I'll be talking about how IoT is going to change our everyday life, and mobile is going to be one of the key feature over there, which is going to help us, right? Companies, companies, I guess, it would be unbiased to say this thing, but there's no such company who's not working on this particular front. Every single company is creating an app for the same. They are working, so they're investing heavily for the people who are working on the mobile app development, or let's say in the mobile computing, right? Now coming on to the CSE Mainframe Technologies. Okay, CSE Mainframe, I guess how many of you know this particular part or don't know, but Mainframe is one of the oldest technologies available till date. It started back in the 1964, and it is up and running till date. Why it is, and what's the reason behind it? Because top 500 Fortune companies, they are working on the mainframe. Their back-end processing is on the mainframe. Let's say I'm not sure about India, but let's say in Western companies, Western countries, and in Europe, most of the ATM machines, they have the backend server as a mainframe. And why it is so? Because it is one of the most secure application. It is one of the most secure environments created till date. Right. So at UPS, what we tend to do is, and we have got a very good track record of placements in mainframe as well. Our students who have graduated in 2015, they have been to Prague, they have been shifted permanent over there, and that's the beauty about this particular course. You're taught over here the mainframe system side as well as the mainframe application side. That is, you'll be taught how the mainframe is created, because it won't be taught how the mainframe is created, but it would be taught how the mainframe is being assembled, and what are the different processes which are being carried out in between them, how a operating system is being loaded on the mainframe, that will be taught to you. Now once all those things are being done, at the end how an application can be created on the mainframe. Let's say when you go to the ATM, you insert your card, and the screen which you see, the transactions which you do, all those transactions are being carried out on mainframe. So you'll be taught system side programming as well as application side programming. So if you look at the career prospects, it has got Kix application programmers, ZOS application programmers, you have ZOS DBA. Just Google these terms, right, and just Google these terms and just see salary fetched by these people. It's very high, right? C Associate is the company, CDAC, Accenture, IBM, your Infosys, Capgemini. In India, I guess out of 100 companies, 95 companies, they have something or somewhere related with the mainframe. They're working. Most of the business is being driven from US and European countries, and we are providing services to these people, and it has got a huge potential, right? Mainframe. Department of Analytics. So the Department of Analytics primarily covers two main verticals, that is your business analytics and optimization and e-commerce. Now we know now everyone is coming onto the internet. Everyone is coming onto the internet. Everyone seems to be using the internet. So what does it tell? It tells you the data is increasing day by day. Then data is increasing tenfolds. So what to do with that data? Let me give you a very basic example, right? Everyone seems to be using Facebook. Now, what does Facebook does with your data? You like something, you poke something, you do something. What Facebook is using all that data to do the analytics, right? And then it can propose you certain things. A very simple example could be, you go to the Flipkart, right? You go to the Amazon, you just see at the very end, people who have also viewed this. So do you think it's a fluke, or do you think it is being done randomly by certain people who are monitoring your activity? No, it is all data analytics. They just tend to see what pattern humans are undergoing, and then they give you recommendations on that particular part. So that's what your business analytics and optimization. We at business analytics and optimization, we tend to do this particular part. We tend to teach you all those things. We tend to teach you all those softwares, Cognos, SPSS. We tend to teach you the mathematical background for the same, so that you should be able to crunch that data, and you should be able to provide that analytics to those people. And it has got a huge market potential. You can be, you just for data scientist, you just for the data engineer, you just search for these people. They've got a huge market potential. uh, you could be absorbed as a retail analyst, you could be a web developer, you could be a data science scientist, you could be a data engineer, and these are the certain m number of things. And let's say if you undergo this particular course, future onwards, you can always also go for let's say for this particular part, big data and all, right? All the FMG companies, your FMCG companies would be Capgemini, KPMG, SAP Labs, ENY, IBM, L&T. All those companies are hiring people who have a good hold on this data, business analytics and optimization. Coming on to the e-commerce, as the name suggests, as I've already told, right, most of the companies, they're bringing their business onto this thing, internet. So let's you talk about any particular XYZ company, let's say for instance Amazon, or let's say Flipkart, or any particular company. So how they do the business, how the business process is being carried out over there, all those things would be taught in the e-commerce and retail automation. So how the retail analytics would be done over there, how digital marketing is being done over there, all those things are being taught over here. So down the line, you can be a retail engineer, you can be a web developer, or you can be a digital marketing engineer, and let's say you will be absorbed in any XYZ company who is specializing in the retail automation and all, right? uh, Coming on to the CSC BFSI. Now, as I was discussing at the very starting, CSC BFSI is it was what do you say? There was this particular CSE OGI. It was a domain branch. Similarly, CSC BFSI is a domain branch where the knowledge about banking, finance, services, and insurance would be given to you, so that down the line you can create a software for any one of these firms. Let's say when you go to the any particular XYZ bank, for right, and you see the software which they are using, those softwares must be created by certain IT professionals only. So over here what we are trying to teach you is, what are the different processes which are being carried out in the banks, in your finance industry or in your insurance industry. What are the different processes which are being carried out, so that uh, you can create a software for those people, right? So and just look about the career prospects. You've got BFSI, business technical analyst, risk analyst. Do note this thing, that you won't be, it's since you'll be studying banking, finance, and insurance, so it does not mean that you'll be employed by the banks. However, the chances are quite high, since we are having, we are having the number of these banks, private banks from abroad, they are setting up their centers in India. So you could be one of the potential candidate for those banks, right? For instance, JP Morgan, RBS, Deutsche Bank, Citigroup, Barclays, they'll be, very happy to have people who have a knowledge about computer science, and they have a knowledge about the banking processes, because it's one of the lucrative industries in across the world, right? The banking industry, the finance industry. So they want, softwares created for them. They want analytics created for them. So you could be a potential candidate for these people if you undergo this particular branch. Second thought to it, let's say if you undergo this particular branch, down the line you can also go for higher studies with this one. You can always go for higher studies. You can do your MBA in, let's say banking, finance, and insurance, because MBA in these fields is also one of the top demanding careers, right? Now coming on to the one of the most important verticals, that is your cyber platform, right? So it covers about cyber security and forensics, open source, IoT, and cyber laws. Now, as the name suggests, cyber security and forensics. In the last year, we have seen, huge these massive attacks which are being carried out by people, where the whole airports were shut down. Everything was shut down just because of they were demanding a huge amount of money, and this was turned down by a certain virus, right? So over here, what we are trying to do is, all the processes, all the technologies would be taught to you, so that you could be a asset to any XYZ company who is specializing in the computer security. So main emphasis would be on the security. You'll be taught about network security, forensics in IT, device security, and all those things would be discussed over here. Moreover, since the courses are being designed with the IBM, so there are n number of lectures which keep on happening round the year, so that you can get to know, what's happening in the industry. Apart from that, we tend to have, Digital India Week being celebrated in the UPS, and so where people from across the India industry, they come to the campus, they certain discuss their problems with us, and so that, student can have a good hold of knowledge, what's happening in the industry. Apart from that, the students are also doing, certifications. They are doing, ethical hacking certifications. They are doing, auditing certifications, so that they can do these audit for any particular XYZ company, whether the security standards are up to the mark or not. So all those things are being taught in the cyber security and forensics, right? Career prospects, software the career, software engineers, IT analysts, product engineers, associates. So there are n number of, you can read out, right? So there are n number of these people, these roles where a student would be absorbed. Uh, Similarly, on the same grounds, if you talk about the companies, there are, let's say, n number. There are, I guess, every single company which has been created, right? They want a security audit person. They want their security to be up and running every time, because let's say you have, millions of dollars in your amount, and someone puts someone, take gets all, transfers all those amounts to someone else, you'll be left with nothing. So your banks need it, your online banking needs it, your transactions need it, you name it, the security should be there. So this one field is, it's in quite demand. So now, B Tech CSE, open source and open standard, and open these uh, to give you a brief idea about what open source and open standard is. I'll say open source and open standard is, it's a It's a mother branch of all the branches, you can say, right? Let's say, let me give you an example, right? Um, the softwares which are being used by the cloud computing people, most of the softwares are open source. You talk about, you know, this thing, you might have heard about Linux, Ubuntu, it's your open source. If I talk about Android, it's your open source. So what people do is, you know, there are n number of people who create these open source softwares, and they tend to put those softwares over the web so that you can download those softwares, you can use those softwares as per your own usage, and you can give it, and you can give those softwares back to the society so that people can use those softwares over there. Right now, this particular branch has got a potential because it does not restrict you to specifically study only one thing. Let's say any open source student, he can go into the Linux administration, he can go into the cloud computing, he can go into the graphics and gaming, he can create a Android application, because he will be taught, you know, what are the different development methodologies for the open source software. So all those things would be covered in that particular part, right? So if you look at the career prospects, Android development, Linux development, LAMP, software, IT advisor, freelancer, full stack development. So you just name it, they have it, right? So that's the beauty about the open source and open standard. And the good thing is, every single IT company is looking for a open source enthusiast. Any startup who cannot invest too much on the proprietary software, they are looking at the open source students, because it gives you a flavor to, you know, to check on any technology which is available in the market. If you look at the companies, Google, Red Hat, Amazon, Postman, HackerRank, Xerox, Nagaro, all these companies, they have a very good hold on the open source, and they tend to, you know, they'll be appreciating students if they have been, you know, using open source, they have been contributing to the GitHub, they have been, you know, participating in the Google Summer of Code and all those, right? IoT and smart cities, you know, we have been hearing a lot about IoT, Internet of Things and smart cities. So over here, you know, you'll be taught about the various processes which are being involved over here. You'll be taught about a microprocessor, embedded system, whether different, you know, wireless sensor networks, IoT standards. You'll be taught about you know, how those things would, you know, Raspberry Pi would be taught to you, Arduino would be taught to you, you know, you'll be taught how those things will be configured, how you can create an application on the top of it, so that you can, let's say, you can use those things when you go to the companies, you can use that particular knowledge when you go to the company. And I guess you might be knowing about the IoT and smart cities, but let me give you a very simple example. What are IoT is, right? For instance, let's say you're going home, right? And you're going home and you're driving, right? That, let's say, down and during on your path, on your way, you want, you know, your geyser to be open, right? You want your certain things to be already done for you. So all those things can be done from your, let's say, while driving from in your car only, you can do those things, right? So all those things can be done. How can be done with the help of the IoT. Let's say you are at the front of your gate and you want to open your gate, right? You do not want to get down. You can directly do that particular part from the IoT. The only thing it would require is the sensors and the connectivity through the mobile app devices and all. So there are n number of there are n number of examples site over here. But even, you know, just Google these terms and you'll see, you know, n number of things, and all those things would be taught over here. Now, this particular program is of 6 years, integrated cyber law program. Over here, you know, students would be initially 4 years, they'll be taught, you know, traditional computer science, and last 2 years they'll be taught, you know, the law pertaining to it. I guess, you know, everyone seems to, in the science forensics, we are primarily talking about the security, but we are not talking about the laws pertaining to it. Over here, what we'll be doing is we'll be teaching you, you know, these are the certain threats, and similarly we'll be teaching you, you know, what are the laws governing it, so that you can say, you can easily tell that okay, fine, this particular crime has been committed and it is being governed by this particular law. This particular crime has been committed, and so it will be governed by this particular law. So over here, and it's one of the unique courses which is being offered in very few universities, I guess, across the India, where you tend to have the knowledge about the technology as well as you tend to have the knowledge about, what do you say, the law pertaining to it, right? Now, Department of Cybernetics, that is your DevOps and Big Data. Now, this is a very new. new vertical, DevOps, and this particular vertical is with the collaboration with Zebia. So till now, the maximum courses which I have discussed, all the courses which were discussed till now, they were in collaboration with the IBM. But these DevOps and big data, they are in collaboration with the Zebia. Now these are the very fancy terms, right? Big data, DevOps. Now what is DevOps, right? DevOps is, where you tend to minimize all the processes, right? So let's say so is aim to in the DevOps you'll be taught, in the DevOps, you'll be taught, how the build and release management is taking up, how the continuous integration and continuous deployment would be done, how the system provisioning, configuration management would be done. I know it would be it would be very very new things. All these new things are to you, but you just tend to ask someone in the industry, where the industry is going as of now. DevOps engineers are the engineers who tend to know, I guess, everything. They are bringing their all knowledge at the same platform, and they tend to deliver things fast, right? It stands for development operations. So they're trying to make things fast. So that's one of the peculiarity about these people. And you just you just see you just Google, right? You just Google the term DevOps and just try to see the salary which they are being offered. So it's huge, right? It's huge. So just go for that particular part. Coming on to the big data, big data is, as I was giving the example of the Facebook only, right? The Facebook is everyone seems to be, doing something over the Facebook. Someone is liking, someone is, poking, someone is updating their status, and let's say every day, petabytes of data. That is your 10 to the power, that much amount of huge of data is being loaded onto the this thing. What do you say? Facebook servers. And now how that huge amount of data is being processed, now that's the big data, right? So that processing of that particular data, what are the different frameworks, different technologies which are being employed. So all those things are being discussed in your big data. So distributed ingestion, distributed analysis, functional thinking, exploration of the data, Hadoop, Spark, Hottenbergs, all those, different technologies. Since it's a core technical branch, so most of the technologies would be discussed in this particular area. Now coming on to the big data career prospects, big data specialist, software engineer, data scientist, data warehouse manager, consultant, any big firm, let's say any Amazon, Flipkart, any big firm, and they will be happy to have you people, have you guys on board, since these particular technologies. And the beauty about these courses is, you are ready to deploy into the market. What happens in a traditional engineering college, first you'll be studying 4 years all those things, then you'll go to the industry for 2 years, for 1 year they'll be training you all those things, and then you'll be delivered onto the certain project, XYZ project. But over here, let's say, if you have learned all those things, in the 4 years only, and and once you go to the industry, and once you'll be assessed in the industry, and they'll be knowing you know all those things ready before joining the industry, so you'll be directly deployed onto the projects. So automatically there, when you'll compare yourself from any XYZ college, you'll be at least 6 months to 1 year ahead of those people. And that's the beauty about domain specific courses and domain oriented courses. Now I have certain FAQs over here, which students have been asking us for the past couple of years. How is this different from traditional engineering branch? When is the specialization subjects will be introduced? Which branch to opt? Which branch is number one branch? Which branch has got the highest placement opportunity? Does studying specialized courses narrows down future scope? And especially in higher studies. So all these questions are being asked, are fundamentally asked by students and parents to us. So I'll be answering all these questions one by one. So how is this different from traditional engineering branch? So I guess I have already discussed this particular part. So you have in any traditional XYZ engineering college, 48 subjects are being there. So out of those 48 subjects, 35 or 40 subjects would be taught to you. The same subjects would be taught to you. Only the domain specific subjects would be taught to you, and those subjects will be different subjects, right? Second is, when is the specialization subjects will be introduced? It's not as if the specialization subjects, It's not as if the specialization subjects will be introduced at the last year only, or in the 7th semester or 8th semester or 5th or 6th semester. The specialization subjects gets introduced from the very first semester onwards. So you'll be taught one subject as the introduction to, let's say, introduction to the graphics and animation, introduction to the cloud computing. So that particular subject would be introduced from the very first semester. Then in the second semester, a second subject would become. Now, why we have done it this way? So that by the time you go to the 5th semester or 6th semester, you should be able to deliver a project on the top of it. Then able to justify your knowledge in the industry, right? If you have done, if you have studied the theory, if you have also delivered a project on the top of it, so that's how we have delivered it, and that's how from the very first year a subject will be introduced in your curriculum. And the number of subjects, they keep on increasing as we go higher in the this thing in the years, second year, third year, and final year. Which branch to opt? I guess this, people tend to have this notion, only one of the branches, for instance, cloud computing is only good, or let's say cyber security is one of the good. What I'll suggest is, and the second question is, which branch is number one branch? Let's say I guess you might have that particular inclination, or you might have that particular idea, because when I say 80% of the syllabus would be same in all the branches. 80% of the syllabus will be same on all the branches. Only 20% of the syllabus would be differing in all these branches, right? So first of all, you'll be a computer science engineer, and then you will be treated as a specialized in cloud computing, or specialized in graphics and gaming, or specialized in your mainframe technologies, or specialized in your cyber security and forensics. So first thing is, you'll be a computer science engineer. Now, talking about the branch, right? Each and individual branch has got a different career scope, right? So everyone has got a huge potential in itself, but given the choice, certain branches are having high requirement as of now. For instance, cloud computing is having a high requirement, because small startup, they want the infrastructure at that particular stage. Cyber security, because cyber crimes are on increasing. Graphics in gaming, you want people who are having UI and UX inclination. Big data, data is growing exponentially. So these are the certain key areas. But let's say if I have to talk about, mainframe is one of the verticals which has got a highest placement opportunities abroad. If I have to say, BFSI, banking finance services, is one of the branches which has got a huge career prospects in the future. Let's say if you go with the MBA, or let's say you go with the masters in these fields. So that's one of the that's the call which you have to take, given a choice, what you'll be studying and how much time you'll be investing in that particular branch. Which branch has got the highest placement opportunity? Now, out of the 15 branches, 10 branches have already we have in different every year, number of branches which are graduating, they are increasing. So as of this year, we had 10 branches which graduated this year. And I can say it confidently that in most of the branches, the placement is, in some of the branches placement is around about 90%. In some of the branches the placement is about 80%. In some of the branches placement is about 70%. If someone says, we are going to guarantee you the placement, trust me, we do not say this particular part. But let's say if you have the talent in you, if you are going to give your heart and soul to that particular branch, if you are going to give them that ample amount of knowledge to that particular branch, trust me, you will land at least 3 to 4 jobs from the campus. And I can cite you examples where students who have got 16 lakhs package, or let's say 18 lakhs package, and they have already got the placements, right? They have got 3 packages, placements, and then they have got the packages of 18 lakhs. But again, then there are students who do not have a job as of now, because they either they are not working, they're not willing to give their best. So that's a different call, right? So I guess I hope you understand that particular part. Does studying specialized courses narrows down future scope, especially in higher studies? Now, this particular one, as I already discussed in the very first question, all these courses, 80% of the computer science is same, and that particular computer science is being taught everywhere. So it is not, your career prospects would be narrowed down. It is, you first of all, you'll be called as a computer science engineer, and secondly, on top of it, you'll be called as a specialized in that particular branch. In higher studies, let's say if you are going to go for game, if you want to go for, let's say, GATE, if you want to go for the MS, if you want to go for any XYZ this thing, what do you say, any government jobs, let's say, so they do not restrict you, right? Because they'll be considering first branch of yours is computer science branch, and then on the top of it you will be you'll be treated, then that specialized course is being delivered. Generally these specialized courses helps you when you go to the industry, right? So because that's why we have been, we have been emphasizing it. It's a domain specific branches in which are ready to go, and specialized courses for the industry only, right? So I guess I'm done with the my presentation. I saw, there were certain students who were saying, there was certain pauses. I'm extremely sorry for that particular part. I hope I have made myself clear. So can we take questions? Hmm? Questions लें इसमें लिखे हुए हैं questions. Okay, there are certain questions which are being lined up over here. So I'll take certain questions one by one, right? So what was the average package like? So average package would vary from 4 lakhs to 4 lakhs to 4.5 lakh. Then Shreyas Lamba, right? What was the average package like? So the average package I've already discussed. It would be somewhere between 4. It varies from branch, but about aerospace and aeronautics. These they come under your College of Engineering. Uh, so, mm, so that's one thing. Then the question. Can I see this video later also? Yeah, it would be available in the available. It will be available in the future as well. What is the scope in mechanical engineering? I guess mechanical engineering is called one of the it's called evergreen branches, right? So there's a ample amount of career scope it has. It all depends, right? What you want to be in. And if you want to go into the aerospace, you can go into the you can go into the aerospace. If you want to go to the automotive design engineering, you can go to the automotive design engineering. What scope in aerospace engineering, sir? Please tell me. Uh, as you know, I'm a professor in this thing, School of Computer Science. But I tend to know certain students from aerospace. They're doing quite good. They're certain of them have been recruited to the Airbus or Boeing. So either they'll be recruited to any aircraft maintenance firms, or they'll be recruited to any big firms who are creating the aircraft industry. Or let's say you can go to the maintenance part for the same. So career prospects are good. You can also go into the electronics, aerospace and avionics. You can also go into the electronics part for the same. So the career prospects are quite good for those as well. Dinesh Kumar, kindly elaborate the scope in cybersecurity and forensics. Now, Dinesh, cybersecurity and forensics, right? So the moment I say cybersecurity and forensics, people tend to have this notion, right? You'll be an ethical hacker and you'll be hacking the stuff and all those, right? So let me tell you, there's a white hat hackers, there's this black hat hackers, and personally speaking, we do not say that you should go into that particular part, because the career prospects, it could be a hobby per se, but it can't be a career in that particular direction. However, in UPS, we tend to teach you all the concepts, all the things about the cyber security, so that let's say if you join any particular company as a cyber security expert, or as a cyber security engineer, or let's say any XYZ firm who is auditing any XYZ firm, so you should have the ample amount of knowledge for the same. And since the hazards are increasing, right? Everyone seems to be on the internet, right? So all the processes has to be secured. So there is a dire need for the people who understand that particular I was reading the other day, the government of India is in dire need of people for the government jobs in the cybersecurity arena. Aman Singh, can you tell me more about AI and machine learning? So, Aman, AI and machine learning, this course would be launched in 2018, so this year, and it would be launched in collaboration with the IBM. So, we are yet to start with this thing. But let's say everything related to your, how the knowledge representation is being done, then, how your expert systems are being created. Then, going into the machine learning, we'll be talking about all those things over there. Then we'll be talking about deep learning, neural networks. We'll be talking, support vector machines. We'll be talking about various applications of it. We'll be discussing, digital image processing. We'll be talking about natural language processing, because all these fields are impacted by your these artificial intelligence and machine learning. So we'll be covering all these fields in AI and machine learning. And since everyone in the industry is in dire need of these things, everyone in the industry is uh, wants people, because if I have to give you a very brief idea what's a machine learning, a machine which given the ample amount of data, it has to take certain decisions. And since the data is increasing rapidly, right, so people want that they can crunch their data, they can get certain analytics out of that data, or they can do certain automatic decisions on the top of that particular data. So that particular thing would be taught over here. The basics would be taught over here, so that once you go to any XYZ company, you can deliver it over there in that particular company. Hope I have answered that particular thing. Uh, Now, Aditya, if I select specialization in mobile application, what content I should learn, like which subjects? So I guess you will be taught, mobile app development. You will be taught, app development using Android, iOS, or Windows per se. Then you will be taught about, how the mobile analytics is being done. You will be taught about, various mobile sensor technology. You will be taught about various, the communication bandwidths which are available. So everything which has related to do with the mobile, it would be discussed over there, and all those things would be taught to you, so that let's say if you create any software, if you create an application for the mobile, it should interact effectively. The user should be able to interact with that effectively, and that particular app should be able to interact with any, let's say if it has to interact with the web-based application, or if it has to interact with another mobile-based application, so it should be able to do that particular part. So all those things would be discussed. Now, Nitesh, Angad Veer, can we see this video later? Yes, Angad, you'll be able to see this video, I guess, later. However, the questions, I won't be able to answer your questions over there, because I'll be available as of now only. Nitesh, can you differentiate between cloud computing and graphics and gaming? Well, Nitesh, these are two different things, right? Cloud computing, you can say it's a technology which provides you storage over the web. Over the web, you can store your this thing. What do you say? Your application. For instance, let me give a very simple example, right? Let's say you have created an app, and that particular app is of only 20 MB. So are you going to go and buy a server of, let's say, 200 MB or 200 GB, or let's say 100 GB? No, you only want a storage of hardly 100 MB, so that 10 MB can be stored on the top of that 100 MB. So that particular architecture is being given by your cloud computing people. So that's your cloud computing. However, if I have to talk about graphics and gaming is all total a different scope, right? Over here, you're taught how the graphics is being created, how the graphics is being created for the desktop, how the graphics is being created for a game, how the graphics is being created for a game, how the graphics is created for the mobile, and all those things are being discussed. So let's say if you are good with the creativity, I'll suggest you go with the graphics in gaming, because the career prospects are quite high in that particular arena as well, in this branch. However, the cloud is all total are different, right? Over there, you will be creating apps. You will be creating apps which will be stored over the cloud. So all those things would be discussed in the cloud computing. And graphics and gaming is, so I hope I have answered your question. And Aditya Sutar, is there scope in AI like jobs in India? Aditya, India market, Indian market is it's in a very ripe stage, right? Down the line we are going to see a huge amount of IoT based applications coming up, and every single one of these applications would be generating immense amount of data. Now that particular data, we will be processing that particular data, right? So there will be a huge amount of requirement for the machine learning people. There will be a huge amount of people who can do the big data analytics on it, and there is a huge amount of people who can do the machine learning on it. So maximum branches which I have just discussed with you guys, all these branches are interlinked. And if I have to say down the line you will see huge traditional jobs will go. The more and more specific jobs will come up, and these are the certain specific jobs which I've just discussed. What will be taught in cloud computing? I guess Nitesh, in for the cloud computing, what you can do, if you want to see, what will be taught, you just go to our website, that is your ups.ac.in. You just go over there in courses, and you will see, what is being covered in the cloud computing and what is being covered in the graphics and gaming. So you'll get a good hold of, what's being discussed over there. Out of 8 semesters, in how many semesters one has to study the common subjects, and how semester will be? Dinesh Kumar, how many semesters will be covered in specialized course? Well, Dinesh, it's not as if, let me answer this question this way. From the very first year, you will be taught, let's say there are 6 subjects, so 4 subjects, 5 subjects would be your core subject, and 1 subject would be domain specific subject. Let's say in the second year there would be 6 subjects, 4 subjects would be your core subjects, and 2 subjects would be your domain specific subjects, and this is how it is going to go, right? Every year it is going to increase, right? It's not as if the complete year, in complete semester, only domain specific subjects would be taught. That's not it is. Well, Ritik, you need to get a good marks if you want to go into the CSE oil and gas, I guess. So cutoff and all, I guess I do not have that much, a fair amount of idea. Being a professor, I do not have knowledge, what would be the cutoff for this particular part. But let's say you need to have a good, you should be among the, let's say, 5,000 or 6,000 something rank should be there if you want to, join this, if you want to opt for this particular course in UPS. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for joining.